Okay, it's 8:30. Let's call this meeting to order. Are there any public comments?
I
Lisa,
have one,
yeah,
just in case you didn't know, today is Caitlin Clark's 22nd birthday.
Number 22, 22.
Yeah,
any other public comments?
And in addition to that, she has the highest selling women's basketball trading card ever at $21,600.
jumped 4,000 yesterday.
Did it?
You have one of them, Lee?
No, I don't. Mine doesn't have her signature on it. I don't know. I have to go find her.
All right, do we have any public comments? Any other public comments? All right, we've got a long agenda, so let's get started. Is there a motion to acknowledge minutes?
So move.
Second,
Okay. Can you read the dates, please?
January 8th, January 18th, January 8th and January 18th.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good morning, Dwayne.
Good morning, Dee.
Hey, I
This is
heard you on the
Supervisors.
radio. It was really good that you let them know that you were out subbing and sanding the crews.
Yeah, it was a little interesting drive to work this morning. So, but the crews did get out. I texted Billy about 4:30 this morning. And he replied that he'd already called the guys in, so they were on their way to get sand spread. I think we're gonna spend all of this week trying to clean up gravel roads and keep the pavements de-iced as best we can. There was some questions last week about the county forces hauling snow for the city and why we weren't out having those trucks out on the gravel roads that had drifting. And the issue is that we can't load snow off the gravel roads when the ground below it isn't frozen. We just get stuck. The city needed our help. We didn't have any productive work that those trucks could do. Plus, we buy some of our patch material from the city, so we actually owed them money. So this was a fair way to pay them back for the material we purchased from them.
So it
Other than
sounds
that,
like, yeah,
we're basically gonna try and keep everything open and keep the guys working. We gave them this weekend off because they had been in 12s for 8, 9 days straight. They needed a break. We're back at it and doing what we can as needed.
Well, I understand the frustration of the folks that live out in the country sometimes, but I think our crews did a phenomenal job, and I remember years ago, and I can't imagine moving 2 foot of snow, but I remember years ago that they talked about, you know, when we get these heavy snows and maintainers move about 8 miles an hour and you're only blading one length.
yeah.
And so we've got what, 800 miles of road?
Basically,
So you got 1,600 miles if you gotta try and open two lanes at 8 miles an hour. It takes a long time.
yeah, and when it drifts up, it takes more than 2 passes to get even one lane open. And, you know, the crews did a good job. I've got no complaints. Most of the calls we got were people just asking for our best guess on a timeline. We had very few actual complaints. So I think most of the folks in the county know that when you live in the country, you run the risk of being stranded. I've lived most of my life in rural areas and you know, I remember in 73, we were stranded for 2 weeks. And in 07, I think we were a week without power out in southern Johnson County or northern Johnson County and a week before we could get out. So it's one of those things that you just need to make sure you got lots of canned goods and water in your pantry.
do you have
Other
any? Oh,
than
excuse me.
we're, I'm still working on getting the grant application written up. Have my fingers crossed that Congress will do something so that community grant will get funded, but we'll deal with that when it actually comes through. That's pretty much all I got.
All right, anything else for Dwayne? Okay, let's move on to presentation on the new K-9 for Sheriff's Office.
Right. Yeah, so I have like a little presentation, but I don't know how effective that's gonna be. But I have just pictures of dogs and a couple little videos of him training. So kind of what we're doing, so our current canine side is roughly 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years away from retirement. So what we're doing is just trying to raise money in regards to funding just the dog. We've already paid for the vehicle and its build, which is roughly $65,000-$70,000 when it's all said and done with all the equipment that goes into a canine. And then we're trying to raise $13,500 in regards to just the dog and the 5-week course. We did receive a $3,000 grant from Dogs for Law Enforcement in regards to the purchase of the dog. And for the rest of the $10,000, we've been kind of asking the community for help. And they have actually helped us out quite substantially with the donations we've received so far. Training is in late March, early April. He hasn't set a set date yet. I'm kind of still waiting on that. And then there's a couple other like miscellaneous costs in regards to, you know, a vest, which I will, once you receive the dogs, there's a company that you can apply and get a vest for the dog, kennels for inside and out. The dog will be staying at my residence. Just a couple other miscellaneous expenses. When we purchased the dog through Treetown Kennels, which is in Forest City, that $13,500, it goes for the dog. There's a 3-year warranty on the dog. Just for genetic diseases if the dog happens to have one, which I don't think he does. We have that. There's a leash, a tracking collar, and a harness. That all comes with the 5-week program. So for those 5 weeks, I'll be going up to Forest City training Monday through Friday with Kalo. That's his name. He actually just arrived in Iowa about 2 weeks ago. He's currently getting imprinted by the master trainer up there. So this is really kind of sparked an initiative, and thanks to Bart, we're actually kicking this into gear now, because of, like I said, the dog that we currently have is probably a year and a half, 2 years away from retirement. We have time to train together and have knowledge for him to pass on. In regards to that, because we only have one dog now, and hopefully within 2 years, the city of Fairfield will kind of kick in and get another dog, and we'll still have those 2 canines. And it's not going to be I'm a county dog, so I'm only going to do county calls. That's not how that works. Just so we have 2 guys available, because currently now, if Deputy Risedam goes on vacation or has canine reserve for a week and a half, we don't have a dog for a week. And that kind of hinders some narcotics investigations, or, I mean, bordering counties are more than welcome to help, but sometimes they can't. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Did you find anything specific about opioid funds?
I would say that we're not permitted to use opioid funds to fund the canine. I think intuitively, it seems like we should be able to, but after a closer read, I don't think that it's possible. I'm open to a different interpretation from the AG's office, and I've reached out to them, but I think that it's mainly around prevention for the individuals. Even though, again, intuitively, it seems like you'd be preventing opioid deaths by removing drugs from the streets, but I would say no.
So if we were to, you listening, Dee? If we were to contribute opioid funds to the sheriff's budget to remove fentanyl from the streets of Jefferson County, would that be allowed?
That would be a pretty big task.
It would. And we'd have to use all the things that are, to be able to accomplish that.
So as I just said, right now, I don't think that that is an approved use of opioid funds.
Remove fentanyl.
Again, intuitively, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I brought the uses, and it's not really, it's pretty obvious. They say counties shall choose from among the abatement strategies
Okay.
listed. So even though prevention is one of those strategies, it doesn't specifically talk about
Does it define
canine,
what prevention is by any chance?
right? So again, I'm open to other interpretations, and I
Well, I'm
have,
just curious.
you know,
You know,
yeah.
but I wrote down a couple of other things. Does ICAP still have safety grants?
Yeah,
So we can
2,000.
write a safety grant.
Right.
Mark can write for safety grant, Brett can write for safety grant. You know, whoever else would qualify to write for a safety grant.
I think it's only 1,000 per county, isn't it, Joe?
That's
No,
correct.
it's 1,000 per department, I think.
That 1,000 per ICAP member.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Jefferson County is a member, service agency is a member, emergency management's a member. I think it's those three to my recollection.
Okay. Also
Wow.
Apex, Jared from Apex, reach out to him. They've been pretty substantial supporters of the ambulance. So we've gotten, I think, 6,000 from them, 2 different occasions, 3,000 for equipment. So.
And we'll see what Elizabeth
contact
finds out.
people.
But not only,
So that's just possibility there of some other places that we can. And maybe, do you think, Greater Jefferson County Foundation?
We tried that.
Okay,
I guess there was a miscommunication. They thought there's a certain type of money that's kind of put away for the Fairfield Police Department and their canine.
okay,
Their board, from my understanding, was under the assumption that we were after that money in words.
oh, okay.
There was a miscommunication there and the grant got denied.
Well, I don't have his card either, but
Austin, do they understand it is for both? You know,
Yeah, I didn't make the decision. I don't
I
know.
know.
That's just what I was told.
I know some of the people on the board.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them.
Art, when I get back to the office, I could send you his email if you'd like me to.
Who's email?
Jared's with Apex.
Okay. Yes.
And Elizabeth, we'll wait and see what the AG's office says, because I know that training I went to in Des Moines, they were pretty broad. They were much broader than that sheet of paper that I know you're looking at that just lists, you know, the black and white use of the money. They were very broad in prevention, treatment, and education. So if we can make it into something about that too.
Great. Yeah, maybe if we can tie in some kind of education component. Again, like I said, I'm totally open to different interpretations. I would just like it to come from higher up than me because, you know, reading the approved uses, it just doesn't mention that specifically. And it doesn't even talk about law enforcement strategies, you know, in terms of like additional criminalization of people's addictions. So that's what I'm thinking.
When we charge people, they're gonna want drug court and stuff at the beginning.
Okay, do you have anything else for us with the canine?
But I think we're on the right track with getting Caleb all ready to go.
We're close. I mean, we're just trying to cut that bottom number.
Sure, sure.
How old is the dog?
What's that?
How old
He's a
is?
year, probably for 13, 14 months now.
I don't think you're supposed to ask how old this one.
Well, you're right, if it's a female dog, we're not supposed to say that, but, it's just, how long
Don't
do
write
they
that down.
serve generally?
It's hard to tell because you never know what's gonna happen, but typically anywhere between 8 to 10 years.
Okay.
But again, you never know.
Right.
But
Right.
typically that's.
It's amazing what Chihuahuas can do these days, isn't it?
Huh?
I said, it's amazing what Chihuahuas can do these days.
I think they're the meanest dog ever.
We've gotten a ton of support. I mean, I know you guys wrote a letter of support for us. We didn't get that grant, so the federal grant, we didn't get that. The schools are all about it, just because the more dogs we have, that means the more they can request us for drug sweeps at all schools.
That would be a nice angle.
Peak in Fairfield, we help out.
That might be an angle to get some money. Might be an angle to get some of that opioid money. Tie it to the schools.
I haven't looked at the opiate stuff, so I don't really know the ins and outs of it. So.
And have that.
Well, there you go.
Real broad.
It is broad. It talks about prevention strategies. It just didn't seem like it supported that. But again, I'm totally open to different interpretations.
Dean, Dwayne wants to say something.
Okay,
A way that you can, is there a youth educational angle for having a dog in school, or going to schools as a community outreach and drug awareness education, drug prevention education? So I think from what I've understood of it is it's geared towards prevention and education, not enforcement. But if you can find, I would think that if you can find an angle that you can have some kind of an educational program tied to it, that might not get you 100%, but might get you some extra bucks.
Can you read my
We've
mind?
done presentations before to the schools.
So it's the worst they could do, they'd have to take it back from us, right? We'd have to take it back. I'm not asking, I'm just asking.
And
We're not here requesting the whole pool of money or anything like.
No, I get that. I'm just, we're trying to think ahead of the curve, so to speak.
Well, if you could monetize a monthly education program for the schools and say it's worth this much of the dog's time and put a dollar value that way, would that fly, Elizabeth?
It certainly might, I guess, any kind of more educational bent towards it.
You might be able to use the dog within the DARE program. I never went to this district, but I think most districts around have a DARE program.
I don't know, we still have one or not.
I don't think so.
Years ago, Fairfield PD had a program. That's the only thing I know.
Well, it sounds like it's time to reinstate it.
Okay, we used to, yeah, years ago.
hey Jerry, I see you're on. Do you have anything to say about any of this discussion?
Who's Jerry?
Cornelius?
Oh,
John.
Jerry and John.
Oh, my God.
I don't know.
Evidently not.
I don't know if
All right, we've got some good ideas. Maybe what you could do from Sheriff's Department is, if you think you could do an education in schools, write up a little proposal. Because I'm pretty sure that would qualify. And I've got a couple contacts,
right.
I can contact to Elizabeth and see from that training.
Okay.
Okay, is it okay if we move on now? Anything else on this?
you're the chair.
We'll take it now.
Okay.
Works for me.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, Sean, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Besides drug dealers, what kind of food do they
Okay,
eat?
ambulance director, what's new, Brian?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Oh, it's above freezing. No, it isn't. It's above zero.
Right? Wow. To date, we've done 546 transports, 114 for the month of January, 20 transports from the hospital, 3 particularly this past weekend. Got a meeting again with Medicare today to find out our progress with that and the billing company, and also a meeting with Medicaid. And we got one person out that's out for maternity leave. Everybody else has been here on time. We're fully staffed. And we've had a couple of deposits this past weekends too. So from insurance company, Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna as well.
Was that around $2,900?
That's what our current amount is. The current amount, one second, is 2946, and we've had one of $1,200 come in the other day.
And then I've got some information here from Mark, $1,851 deposited into ambulance account today.
Okay, I did not get that. I'm on the I have the online deal. I don't see that account yet.
Okay.
Curious.
Can you send us, all three of us, an email after talk to Medicare and let us know the status?
I sure will. Sure will. I also wanted to tell you, I reached out to Medicaid. I've always been told that Medicare, our Medicaid was tied into Medicare approval. Okay. That's what I was getting from the company. Well, back in August, I had applied for Medicaid, for Iowa Medicaid. And I got some letters here from Medicaid stating, that our application wasn't complete. So I dug in a little bit deeper. I called Medicaid on Friday and talked to the lady. Her name was Megan. Talked to her. I'll be reaching out again with her today. Apparently, all they need from me is our license and our pharmacy agreement. So I'll be sending them that today to complete that application, because when I hired the billing company, I was kind of leaving them to task on that. And as you know, they haven't been working on the Medicaid issue. They've been working strictly with Medicare. So with my application currently about 90% complete, I'm going to go ahead and finish that out today and let them know that they can go and release our funds with them. That's about $20,000. So I'll be getting that today. Send out, and I CC'd you on that application or on the email as well regarding Brian Hunger, requesting a meeting. Hopefully he'll reach out today. And also the SOP with the hospital. I've met with Stacy Worley, and we got an inclement weather deal. That way we're all on the same page as far as what transports and when, and what designates as a no tow. Or
Right. And I think, an important distinction probably between coming from a private ambulance to a county run is we are here to serve people. Yes, we want to get the revenue we can get, but we don't want to get ourselves into the case of, well, that person doesn't meet XYZ criteria, as long as your operating procedures that the medical doctors approved, that's great.
correct.
We know we need that, but as far as we don't want to get too technical with the hospital. We're here to help them too, and they've been helping us. We're here to work together with them.
Right, exactly. We're here together. We bring them patients and take patients out and stuff like that. We're all on the same team, and that's to make the people of Jefferson County, happier and healthier, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get that meeting going this week, and I'll be working with Medicaid today as well. And I'll get you that SOP that we got together that we had talked about earlier. I'll send you an email along with the attachment as well. So as
Okay.
of today, 546 calls, 114 for the month of January, 20 transports so far this month.
So when you talk to Medicare today, whenever you find out, will you email us and let us know?
I will. I'll CC all three of you on what's going on, as well as the progress with the Medicaid deal with Megan that I talked to on Friday.
Okay.
Right. Maybe
So,
you're, no, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, meet with Al Schmidt, Menace from the Public Library.
If it's okay, I'll sit right here so that you can see me too.
Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I just came to share a short report about some progress we've made in the last year to offer some new resources and services to the community. This past year, we really focused on expanding the digital resources the library offers that people can access from home. And in the last year, we actually got our own smartphone app for library services. The app is called My Libro. It's free, of course. Everything basically the library offers is free. But this app is really great because you can really easily search the library's catalog. It's not. If you've ever tried to use the library's website on your smartphone to look in the catalog, it's very clunky. It's one of those situations where it's just not designed to display on a smartphone. So you have to kind of scroll really far left and right to get around. But My Libro is great because everything is just really nicely placed on the screen. You can search for books and movies and things by genre. In addition to that catalog function, you can actually you can chat with the librarian in the app, and there are during regular business hours you'll basically get responses right away. You can also search for and access all of our digital resources online, and we've really worked to expand the digital resources in the last year as well. So we're really hoping to reach more of our rural users and our users in the contracting towns. We now have Wall Street Journal online, New York Times online, both free and accessible for everyone in Jefferson County. We also have a resource called Hoopla, and Hoopla is pretty cool because it's a resource that actually offers online downloadable ebooks, e-audiobooks, e-magazines, movies, TV shows, and music. And the Hoopla has about 850,000 titles available for streaming at any given time. Just to put that into perspective, that's over 10 times the amount that Fairfield Public Library has in our collection. And by the way, our physical collection is astronomical compared to libraries that serve other communities our size. Also, it's not that common for libraries serving communities our size to offer things like online newspaper access or Hoopla. We also offer consumer reports. All those things can be accessed through the app. Some good news is that the library board has actually just approved a funding request from the foundation for another electronic resource, Canopy streaming for movies, TV shows, and educational programs. This is a resource that actually the library had previously for 10 months. And it was a little over a year ago, we discontinued that service. At the time, we thought, we thought it was a little bit pricey, like per use. I mean, it was anywhere from $2 to $4 per use, but more like on average probably $2.50 per use. And Canopy and Hoopla are both they're an on-demand business model. So the nice thing is we're only actually paying for what people are using or enjoying. And so we're kind of pairing that with the selections the library makes for our physical collection, where we just do our very best to select things that we think the community will like. So we're gonna have probably Canopy available starting probably the end of February. The library's foundation meets mid-February, and if they approve it, then we'll have to go ahead there. So one thing I've been reflecting on recently is the fact that there's, the library's the library's usership consists about half of about half of the library's usership consists of people actually between the ages of 65 and 75 years old, half. And so we're really working on getting the demographic of sort of the late 20s through the 40s. That's an area that's the area that we're most interested in kind of capturing or supporting, and that particular part of the community are more likely to have gone to college because there was a really major kind of cultural effort at that time to encourage people who are growing up like in like the late 80s and 90s to go to college. And it was actually, I mean, from my experience, I don't know about like maybe Connor, but you were basically told if you don't go to college, good luck succeeding in life. You're going to have a very hard time because most of the population is educated to this level, and so they're going to get the jobs. You're not going to get it unless you have a degree. So a lot of people went to college even though they didn't really want to, and they maybe studied things that weren't really super. They weren't as they weren't useful as far as being attractive for employment. Like many people got English degrees. They studied English literature and then they did various things afterwards, and college actually didn't make it easier for them to get a job, but it did make them harder. It did make it harder for them to afford to have a family and buy a house. This is also the same. These are the same generations. And Connor, I'm sure is would agree with this kind of thing.
I'm agreeing with you so far.
So the thing is, these are those kind of younger middle-aged adults. They're the people who grew up with the internet, really love the internet, kind of remember the fun, simpler times of the internet. And they probably remember things like Napster. And they like accessing things from the internet. They like media and things like that.
They do have apps.
But right. But the thing is, these folks don't have the funds to pay for all these subscriptions that you need these days. So they're actually the ones that are going to probably most appreciate having access to more free online resources. So I'm really glad that we can offer more now, and that we have this amazing foundation to help us pay for library materials. We've also in the currently proposed fiscal year 25 budget, we've actually transitioned the cost of all library materials to the foundation. So previously we were having the city pay for $6,000 worth of library materials. In the new budget, it's the foundation paying for everything. That kind of model is pretty common. Like for example, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but so the city of Iowa City, completely different from Fairfield, but the city of Fairfield pays just the salaries of the people that work for the library, and it's $1 million salary. So they just have different revenue streams to pay for other parts of their funding. I mean, maybe the county pays for all the bills for the building. I'm not exactly sure, but definitely they break it up in specific ways so that it's very clear. This organization, this group is paying for this. So that's sort of what we moved to. And what's amazing is that with this newly proposed budget that the city will be looking at the next month or so, we were actually able to decrease the costs of the costs in several areas, and we've proposed pay increases for a number of staff, full-time staff, are receiving potentially a little more significant of a pay increase, but everyone would be receiving the city's recommendation. And one thing that we've been thinking about recently, I mean, we always do comparable city, studies in terms of, pay and things like that. And, even getting things like Canopy, we look at, what other libraries have this. But we found out that for example, our children's librarian is underpaid, has been underpaid for by $2 or $3 an hour. And so to pay her what the other cities, comparably sized cities with comparable revenue are paying their children's librarian, it would be about just a little over $2,000 more a year for the children's librarian. But we have to kind of across the board offer these increases or propose these increases to the city. Staff retention is extremely important. The last year we've had staffing shortages, and it's been really difficult for us. And we have really specialized knowledge of the library, and it's not something you can't teach these things really quickly. It takes time just encountering these certain situations to know how to respond appropriately. So we really, really want to make sure that we can retain, for example, this amazing children's librarian who comes to us as a former 4-H youth educator from Mahaska County, Sarah Martindale. But the amazing thing, what I've been trying to get to is we did a lot of small cuts and rearranging of funds in the budget, and actually this year's the 2025 budget, if approved, would only be a 1% increase over last year's budget, which is pretty incredible, considering what we're going to be able to offer next year if it passes. I also wanted to share, this is a separate thing. The last time I visited you was, it's like about a year ago. And at that time we had just over 1,000 active library card holders. And active means they visited the library in the last 3 years. We now have almost 3,000 active library borrowers. We're at over 2,800. And another thing that's really amazing is every September we do a National Library Card Sign Up Month initiative. So that means everybody who has a library card renews, and they get little kind of, there's little initiatives for that. And then we also encourage people that don't have library cards to sign up. So 3 years ago, we had just 100 people renew or sign up for new cards. Then the next year, we had 200 people renew. This past September, we had over 800 people renew and sign up for new library cards. So I can really see that the community is using our library again. Door traffic is increasing. We're seeing like thousands more checkouts, year to year as we go forward. And I'm just really impressed with our staff. Our board is really amazing, and we have great support at the city level as well. So I just wanted to share all of those things with you, and I wanted to thank you for your continued support of the public library. And I was not certain of whether or not your fiscal year 25 budget was already approved, but no. But I wanted to just check in, and I wanted to say I've looked at what other counties pay to public libraries, and I wanted to say I really appreciate what you give, because actually you're really competitive with other counties at libraries in Iowa that are comparably sized and have comparable amounts of value, property value. But, you know, Iowa code, which we're looking at in terms of determining how much, you know, funding the library should receive, it was that Iowa code was, you know, related to how much counties give to public libraries. It was instated in 1977. And you know, we all know that everything costs a little more every year. And so I would like to ask if you would consider raising the amount you're able to give the library by 5%. It would be just $2,100 for fiscal year 25. It would increase the total giving from the county to $44,300. No, sorry. Yeah, $43,100. And that would, and you know, if you wanted to kind of have, if you wanted to kind of envision something when you think about that additional $2,100, that's just the cost of paying our children's librarian a little bit more so that she gets paid what librarians doing her job in comparable communities get paid.
Yeah, well, I think that's about what we've got in the budget because that's what the state code says that by our valuation, we need to give. So that's the number that's penciled in right now,
Okay,
but it's not final.
okay. If you could increase it by 5%, it would be such a huge, I would just be really, I'd be extremely happy. And I know, and many other people would be as well. I know that one of the biggest things you do here is you hear requests for funding, and it's great when when there are different grants we can apply to as well. You know, and last year, you know, it's amazing. Our children's librarian applied to grants and reached out to the community for funding for the summer reading program, and she actually got over $7,000. So it was a really phenomenal children's summer reading program last summer, and you know, we definitely reach out to those grantors as well. And here's one more thing I wanted to share that's so great. So you know, we were working on the digitization of the newspapers, those old microfilm reels, and maybe you've kind of followed, you know, when we've gotten gifts and grants over the course of last year. Well, it's a $63,000 project to digitize and put online all of the county's newspapers. Over the course of last year, we've received over $22,000 from grants I applied to and gifts from the community. It came primarily from the Fairfield Public Library Foundation, the Greater Jefferson County Foundation, and we also received a gift from the museum. So it's really pretty incredible that we're almost a third of the way through the $63,000 project through grants and gifts. So I will continue also seeking funds that way as well. Any questions or any comments you have?
Well, I appreciate the hard work and everything that you put in and that you do your numbers and stuff. And I hate to throw water on your presentation.
Okay.
But there's a couple of things with all of this digital, making
I know
everything
it's a hard word.
digitized.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't have to come to the library. They can access it online through this app and so on and so forth. You know, I question the need for a building, to be perfectly honest with you. And that's a little bit flippant, but you get my point. The other thing is that I have had multiple conversations with state representatives, and I don't know whether you're aware of this or not, but they have cut our funding significantly. And in my complaint diatribes to the state representatives and the state senator, my response has been, well, cut services.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't give money to this particular thing or money to that particular thing. You know, they're just going to have to figure it out. And so while D is right that, you know, what the state indicates that is by code, I'm not necessarily on board with, to be perfectly honest with you. It has nothing to do with you, has nothing to do with all the efforts that you and your staff are putting into the library. but it has to do with the reality of the financial situations that we're facing. So I just want you to know that whatever we ultimately decide as an entity is not necessarily reflective of you or your staff or any of the rest of it. But when we get down to the bottom, what we call the bottom line, obviously, it may not look like what you'd like for it to look like. So I just want you to know that, but it's trying to deal with what the state has foisted upon us, and
Right.
so and so a little pet peeve of mine, you know, it always has kind of bugged me, to be perfectly honest with you, that I pay for my internet service so that I can access all of this stuff, while at the same time it kind of bugs me that I'm paying for somebody else to be able to come in and access their email and everything on the computer. Now, in the old days, the kids used to come in and do their homework and stuff on the computer, but I don't reckon they do that much anymore because they provide computers. So, obviously you have to move into the future, into the 22nd century, I guess now, to stay competitive and to stay up on things. But it seems to me the more we move into that, the less there of a need there is to have a physical location, because it changes the dynamic.
It's definitely changing. I mean, like public libraries in like, larger communities are more like community centers or like kind of like learning centers, for young people, for kids. I mean, the sort of the quiet place where you whisper and you like sit and read, that place has no, that structure has no place in our society anymore. We don't need that. So and even technology, I mean, like computers and things like that, like, I mean, it's also accessible. Computers are just ubiquitous today. So libraries are needing to be very creative in terms of in terms of their offerings now, and they're more of a place to connect, actually. One thing that's really great is, I mean, one of the things I really appreciate about libraries is that it's a place to go where you don't have to buy something. It's just nice to have a warm, comfortable place to go where you don't need to buy anything, actually, and like the amount that people pay in Jefferson County, or I shouldn't say Jefferson County, but for example, in Fairfield, I mean, it's like $60 a year, and you get like, 70,000 physical items that you can enjoy. We have Wi-Fi hotspots in case you don't have Wi-Fi at home. We have like a number of different streaming services. So it's kind of incredible. I mean, the value you get for paying just like $60 a year. Plus there's I mean, just the physical space is really amazing. And during the pandemic, when the public libraries closed across the country, I mean, it was such a kind of travesty, honestly, because people just so much needed to connect during that time, and that was the most valuable thing, actually, was the place. And of course, unfortunately, they couldn't access that. So I sincerely hope that never happens again. And I mean, I know that, I don't know, I think that if there's some sort of, next pandemic or something, I don't think that there's going to be this, I don't think there will be the same kind of response there was the last time, whether it's with the schools or the libraries. I don't know, but I think that we'll find a way to be able to be together and still mitigate risk. But I definitely don't think that the library would close again. And another thing that I would say in response to your, you sharing that there may not be as much funding, you've probably heard, those libraries that had levies in place, right? Burlington and Iowa City, they are facing this incredible loss, right? Like $1 million loss, or half of their total funding loss. And so a lot of libraries are needing to decrease the number of hours they're open. And so, that's probably what it would look like if we did see a significant funding funding decrease. And we were actually able to add 6 hours of additional open time last month. And part of the way we did that was we cut our 56 hour per pay period shelver, and we hired 2 high schoolers to work fewer hours shelving, and we have library staff doing shelving now too.
Okay, we appreciate the update.
Thank you.
And we're still, like I said, working on our budget, but
Right.
that's what we have. And
Thanks, Dee.
it's great to know about all these digital resources. So,
Definitely.
any
Because-
questions, Susie or Lee? Otherwise, I think we should move on.
Before we move on, I just want to say, over the past few years, I've seen the library improve in how they run things. And I appreciate that. You know, if you'd go past that library and see all the kids that are in the youth librarians spot, I think it's good to have that kind of feature there.
Mhm.
Thank you for that.
Of tracking how many rural
We do.
active card holders you have.
We do. I can email you that number.
Okay.
It's staying pretty, it hasn't changed a whole lot in the last several years.
I appreciate that, Alex.
Yeah.
Appreciate what you've done.
Yeah.
Have
Okay,
a great
thank
rest of your day, everybody. Good meeting. Thank you. Take care.
Mhm.
Okay, set public hearing on an ordinance amending Jefferson County Code of Ordinances, adding chapter 940, establishing special valuation of wind energy conversion property. This is in relationship to, we're working on our wind ordinance, and there's a couple of different ways of going through how we value it. So that's what this is about. So we need the Abby, February 5th. Would that meet our timeline of publication and everything if we use that as a date?
We still don't know what the deadlines are anymore.
Oh,
Since
for
it's
publication,
changed.
since it's changed. That should be sufficient, right? Because we have the ordinance. If we get it in there today for Thursday, because they're publishing on Thursdays. So we could publish it twice.
February 5th probably works then.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion for that?
I would move that we set February 5th at 9 AM for public hearing on ordinance amending Jefferson County Code of Ordinances for special evaluations of wind energy conversion property.
I second that long-winded.
Well,
And
that's
there's a
wind energy.
motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right, okay. Thank you. Discuss and consider cowbell cyber insurance. Welcome,
Dee?
friends. Yes,
Can we take a quick break?
yeah,
I would appreciate that because I want to be part of this discussion. Hi, Joe.
hi, Joe. Okay, be quick.
He better bring preach back. So we can,
Oh, it's fine. It's yours.
you know. The Rage just gave me a bunch of these, so if you want one for your kids or yourself, it's just a pull, you know, for your.
Oh, for the birds.
Dwayne, how are your roads?
They need love.
Hey, Bart.
You guys have done a very good job.
Excellent.
Yeah.
They're getting lots of time in.
Yeah. Did somebody say it's gonna be 50 degrees next week? Was that in the house or seriously?
According to my future guest.
Huh.
Hey, I lost the ability to see Lee. I don't know what changed.
What?
He went to the restroom.
He went to the
Well, I
restroom.
know, but his side of the table.
It'll switch back over because he's not over there talking, so it's focusing on who is talking.
Got it.
I didn't mean that.
I don't say a word.
Alrighty.
Yes, that's what it does.
I almost got a cardboard cutout of a woman to put their B on it today,
Oh my goodness.
but I didn't have time to do that.
Nice.
He doesn't come back in a little bit. He's probably out talking, so.
There he is.
Oh, yes.
Welcome back.
Right?
All right, let's continue on.
Emergency management.
Hey, Joe, I got a couple questions for you.
Sure.
And I don't want to rehash anything we've already rehashed, because as anybody that's been on these meetings know, we've talked about this a lot. So I'm trying to look at it differently.
Oh, well.
What exactly does cyber insurance cover? Is it required? Does it cover things like ransom, follow-up notifications, protecting identity? Why do we need it?
Drive a truck today.
Yeah, so cyber insurance, it is a insurance policy for if and when some type of cyber breach event happens. The one that we have in place provides both first and third party liability. So first party is if the county itself has financial loss. You know, you have a breach in which your data is destroyed or harmed, and you have expense to repair it. If you have some type of incident in which you need to hire some type of firm to represent you, any financial loss the county itself has is first party. That is included in the policy. Third party liability is in the event that the county is sued. So somebody else has a financial loss as a result of the county being breached. Coverage is triggered for that as well. So again, defending you against that loss, any damages or settlements that would need to be paid. First party costs, an example of that, D, you referenced it, is if there is a breach that occurs and we determine that, you know, individuals who have their information housed by the county were potentially impacted, or that information is disseminated, that you are required to make notification to those individuals that could be impacted. You're not required to insure for that, so you could pay the cost of that yourself if you don't have an insurance policy, but it becomes very expensive to do so. And so our policy is $1 million policy for first and third party cyber coverage. That's high level overview. I'm happy to answer any specific questions, but that's a starting point.
Well, in that avenue, let's say, because I know we discuss computer coverage all the time, especially as we're going through budget and it's getting very expensive.
Yep.
So if there was something that we could have done, but we didn't, how would that factor into what this policy would pay, or would it?
Yeah, I think of, you know, I think of the insurance as that is a layer of protection if what you're doing to mitigate those type of losses ultimately doesn't work. I think in a perfect world, you pay, remind me who your managed service provider, do you use Access, or who do you use at the county for cybersecurity? I've heard them speak before, I just can't remember.
You mean PCS?
PCS, yes. So ideal state is if you spend enough money with them and they do enough cybersecurity. Ideal state would be they tell you, hey, the county's impenetrable, there won't be any type of cyber breach. We can confirm that, and so as a result of it, if there is some type of loss or breach and the county is out or has to defend a suit, you know, PCS, us as an entity, will cover the expense of that because we have you so solidified in our, risk mitigation efforts. That is not the way that works in practice, not how the cyber world works. And so one or the other is not what you should be looking to do, in my opinion, as a county. It's not, hey, we spend a lot of money with our cybersecurity provider, and so as a result, we don't need to buy insurance. Or we buy a bunch of insurance and we don't care if we get breached because we know we'll be covered, and so we spend no money on cybersecurity measures. It's not necessarily a one or the other type deal. It really needs to be both to have public entities properly protected. So I don't know if that is the answer to the question that you're asking, Dee, but
Yeah, it is. Lee, Susie, any other questions? Again, not rehashing what we have prior, but anything new?
Well, Joe, I had a question. So on regards to liability, in terms of protection, if we were to breach, we have to notify people and so on and so forth. The county already pays a significant premium for liability coverage. It seems to me that we're just adding insult to injury. The other thing is that there's a $50,000 deductible on this policy. I don't know what it would cost to contact everybody as far as that part of it is concerned, but if even if it's more than $50,000, if I got to pony up the first $50,000 and I'm paying nearly $15,000 for the coverage above and beyond the liability that I have already, to me, you've heard the term, I'm sure, that, insurance poor, $122,000 premium increase. I just frankly, I don't, $1 million worth of coverage. And I don't know if they depreciate things out like they do on other kinds of policies or not. I don't know. I guess my question though is that we can be liability poor here.
Totally get it. And I truly do understand the frustration. Speaking to the $50,000 deductible first, if you remember from last year, we had this discussion, but I know that it's one of thousands that you all have per year. But just to give you a little bit of comfort around that, ICAP has what's called a deductible buyback program or endorsement that they provide for you removing the cyber coverage from ICAP. So what that endorsement, how it reads, it's part of your ICAP policy. What they say is they will reimburse the deductible up to $50,000 after your first $10,000 is in. So the way that it would work in practice is if you have the event in which we use the cowbell policy, ICAP is going to cover $40,000 of your $50,000 deductible via claim with cowbell, claim with ICAP. So the county would be $10,000, ICAP $40,000, then cowbell starts to respond and pay out damages. So that's quick answer to that question. As far as liability goes, cyber is its own deal. So the county pays general liability for property damage or bodily injury claims, auto liability for the same thing if it's related to auto, law enforcement liability for law enforcement activities, public officials for you all. Cyber is just, it's its own deal for your systems being breached. I don't know the exact figures. I think that these estimates are somewhat high actually, but if you Google the cost for notification expense in the event of breach per record, estimates are right around $500 per record is going to be the cost to the group that gets breached. So if you think about just information that you have at Jefferson County, that total jumps up fairly quickly. That's for notification and any type of requirements that you would have based on statute. So like providing credit monitoring for those that are impacted as a result of your breach. It does become very, very expensive. So Lee, I totally understand the position. I don't want to make you guys go poor on insurance premiums either. And I know that you're managing a budget that has constrained funding sources. I understand all of it. What I don't want to do is put you in a position that I say, hey, let's cut cyber as one of those expenses. And we have a breach that is hundreds of thousands of dollars, up to $1 million for the county. And then we're trying to fund that outside of insurance. I think the risk in that is too substantial for the county to take on, but that's just my position.
What do we pay for cloud? This 7,000 a year or a month?
Year.
So if I heard what you just said correctly, this buyback, ICAP would cover 40,000, then of the 50.
That's, so the county's max out of pocket expenditure for a cyber breach is 10,000.
We have two.
Okay, well, based on that, if you told us that before, I missed it. I think that's very helpful information. Susie, Lee, do you need more information?
I was just sitting here thinking, that's for one breach. What if we have two breaches?
Yeah.
What if we have three? Is ICAP still gonna cover that 40, 40, 40?
No, that's a great question. That I will need to look into. The likelihood is if you have multiple events, my assumption is, especially in a given policy year, they're probably going to be related incidents, I would think. Like they would tie it back to an occurrence, even if you have on separate days, it's likely the same actor, or we could make the argument that,
Hey, Joe, could you start over again? We lost you.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Do you have
No,
me?
that's all right. Yeah.
What I stated was that's a great question. I'll look at the form from ICAP to confirm. I think the likelihood is if you had multiple breaches within a policy period, there's a high likelihood that those are going to be related, meaning systems breached, same actor tries to access at multiple times, or a system is impacted and it was vulnerable for another actor. It's on an occurrence basis. So if it's truly two different separate occurrences, I would need to look into that. But the likelihood is if you have two different days in which systems are impacted or down, they would do their forensic work to identify what the cause is. But there would likely be an argument to be made, especially if the system was impacted by the first, that those are one occurrence as a result of that system being down. But I will look into the specific form language to identify if that deductible buyback specifically would trigger multiple times.
So Abby, our timeline is what, the end of the month on this?
It needed to be renewed by the 18th, so we're late.
Okay. So Lee, Susie, you want to act on this today either way, or you want to wait?
Well, it's on the agenda, that we can act on it. There was one other question I had for Joe, and now I can't remember what it was. I don't, so I mean, yeah, it says to discuss and consider, so.
Okay, anybody ready to make a motion? I'll make a motion that we do get this Cabell cyber insurance, and what helped me decide was knowing that ICAP will do that first 40,000.
Oh, I don't know.
I'd sure like to know if ICAP will do that per event during the
Can we
end.
put this off another week, Joe?
You certainly can, but the coverage expired on the 18th, so I just have to tell you that.
Breach, I'm not terribly worried about it.
I just want to know.
Chasing it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to look up to see if I can find that form for it.
We'll tell you what, let's go on to some other things, and if you find that before the end of the meeting, let us know, okay?
Yep.
All right. next on our agenda, discuss and consider inclement weather policy, and this came up for that storm a week ago on Friday, and I sent it to you too. I'm trying to find my, here we go. This is a policy Jack gave me. And it says, and that we can change this, but this is a draft. And the question is, a week ago Friday, when we closed the courthouse, we didn't, but the elected officials did. They wanted to know if their staff could not have to take vacation time. And so we don't really have a policy for that. And what this says, when extreme weather circumstances arise, the Board of Supervisors or designee will determine if it is necessary to suspend county operations and or close the courthouse and other county facilities. All employees affected by the decision of the board will be notified by their supervisor or department head. Previously scheduled vacation time will not be compensated as inclement weather workday, or if somebody was already scheduled off. This is only for people that would be scheduled on duty. So I guess, and again, this is, if you want to think about this, this is nothing we have to do now. I talked to Chauncey about it when we delayed last week's meeting, and he said anything's fixable like this. If we decide to do this, we can go back and do retroactive. I don't know if you want more information or to, anyway, comments?
Well, I guess from my perspective, and I think if I understood what you said right, you said would not be compensated or whatever. How, say that again?
Well, no, they could be compensated like the people that were in the courthouse.
Right.
Okay. And, but if they already had scheduled vacation time, or let's say their department that doesn't work on the day, like Friday,
Right.
then they would not get a day of pay. They would have had to have been scheduled to work that day.
But if they were scheduled to work, then they were going to get paid. Is that what that policy is saying?
That's what the question was presented to me.
Because from my perspective, you know, I worked in the private sector for 33 years, and when we closed because of weather, we took vacation time or we took sick time or we didn't get paid. And it's, you know, I know the other day, for example, my son drove in from Memphis to Hill Phoenix and the weather turned really bad. So he went ahead and left early, used a sick day because he wasn't going to get paid. An hour and a half after he left, they closed the plant, but they still didn't pay anybody. And I think if you've got vacation time or comp time or, you know, then I don't see a reason. I mean, I wouldn't restrict their ability to use that, but I just think that this opens a Pandora's box. Where does it stop?
Well, and that's fine. We don't have to act on it today, but it was brought up. That's the only reason it's on the agenda. So, Susie?
Earlier you said, and sick leave. Could they use sick leave? on this?
Private. When Ross closed, you know, said, okay, not coming to work, I could use my sick pay that I had at Walker's or my vacation times.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating that necessarily here. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that the private sector, and I'm not painting every private sector with the same brush. I'm just telling you my experience. I know what Hill Phoenix policy, for example, is, and a lot of these, you know, these restaurants and stuff that close down, you know, McDonald's or whatever, they're not paying their people. And unless they've got vacation pay, and those are the people that are paying the bills for us.
Right. Would it be okay if we table this one for a little bit to give you a chance to think about it? Because I agree with you, it can be a Pandora's box. However, in this case, it would be up to the Board of Supervisors to decide the use if we approved anything not each department had as or elected official, since it's different from the handbook. But I do think it deserves us to give it some due diligence and think it through.
Yeah, I don't care if you table, that's fine with me.
Susie, that okay?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, Joe, did you find anything yet?
I did, yes, I just sent in the chat, I was gonna share my screen, but it looks like that's disabled. The language is this endorsement applies to any cyber breach coverage deductible the member may incur up to 50,000 through another cyber breach policy, and then it says cyber breach coverage deductible reimbursement 50,000 limit per loss. So in my opinion,
prevent.
that is per loss, they could apply multiple times.
Okay,
So per event, correct?
yes.
Correct.
And I read that in the chat. I could see it. So based on that, I'm going to make a motion that we approve this Cabot cyber insurance. If there's no second, we'll move on. Hearing none? Okay. Let's see, consider department reappropriation. And that is,
Just bring it on. Yeah.
so this needs to, by the 25th, the deadline to send a notice of a public hearing for this.
What?
Yeah, Shannon sent us an email that says deadline to send notice. Is that this one?
No, this is a resolution for, well, let's see, what it says on the agenda is consider departmental reappropriation. The budget.
You wanna read it, Lee?
Is, I'm sorry, what?
Could you please read it?
Sure. Says, whereas it is desired to appropriate additional budget to Department 36 ambulance in Service Area 1000, Public Safety and Legal Services due to expenses related to the operation of a county ambulance. And whereas the Area 1000 within the Department Board of Supervisors has $297,813.50 budget remaining from the allocation for creation of a county ambulance. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Jefferson County that a reappropriation of Service Area 1000 in the amount of from the Board of Supervisors budget to the ambulance be made past this 22nd day of January 2024. And Shannon is here. And so I don't know what the blank is.
It's for you to decide.
Oh, okay. Cool. Up to $297,813.15.
Yeah, is anyone from the ambulance on?
Brian, you still on?
Tell us why we need to do this.
The host.
Yes, I'm right here.
How much do you think that you're gonna need and, to get you through to the amendment on February 12th?
Okay, Judy's bringing those numbers right now.
And I'd like to know, I'm looking at this spreadsheet that was sent to us.
Okay.
Why?
Okay.
What was the question?
Let Judy go through hers first and I'll ask my questions.
Come over here.
What's the question?
Okay. You need to know how much we need to get through till February.
February 12th, when we can do the amendment.
One, two, three.
I figured I just sent them the 6 month. Did she not get the 6 month one that I just sent?
Did you get the 6 month one she just
I
sent to
did,
you?
that's for the amendment,
Okay.
but I also need to know how much you need to get through until we can do the amendment on February 12th.
That's one payroll.
Okay, hold on one sec.
We're
She's
talking,
getting the numbers.
Okay,
we're talking 3 weeks. Right? 1, 2, 3. 3 weeks.
while they're calculating that, can we go ahead for consider fund transfer?
Is that the next one, okay, the 97 one?
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Lee, can you read that one, please?
Yeah, whereas. Whereas it is desired to transfer $9,759.80 from the roads/annex department service fund 2060 to the Osage Courthouse Debt Service Fund due to roads annex bond having been retired. And
So what is in there now?
what? And whereas said operating transfers are in accordance with the Code of Iowa, now therefore it be resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Jefferson County as follows: the sum of $9,759.80 is ordered to be transferred from the Roads Service Fund to the Osage Courthouse Debt Service Fund effective January 22nd, 2024. The auditor is directed to correct his books and to notify the treasurer of this operating transfer, accompanying the notification with a copy of this resolution and the record of its adoption. The above and foregoing resolution was adopted by the Board of Supervisors of Jefferson County effective January 22nd, 2024, the vote thereon being as follows. I would make a motion to approve.
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, there's somebody that would like to be added to the Zoom, if you could please look.
I'm
Okay.
not the host any longer. Brian
Oh.
is.
Brian, somehow you changed the Zoom that you're the host. Can you change it back?
I need a 6-digit.
Yes, hold on. I'm sorry, I hit a button.
I didn't even think it was supposed to do that. Okay, so we voted, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready, Brian and Judy?
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
Okay, what do you need for 3 weeks?
I
look,
would say if they're including payroll, I would say at least another 150,000.
150,000,
If you include payroll,
including pay with that includes payroll.
Now I've got a problem with this payroll. We were told originally it was gonna be 750,000, and we're on
Right.
track to be over 1 million. So why are we so off on that?
because I was not notified that they changed the ARPA or the FICA amount from 6.20 to 7.65.
It's always been 7.65.
When I first figured it way back in like June or July, I was told 6.20.
Well, and I'm looking at the FICA. Oh, let me find it. So for instance, in the original budget, I'm just gonna start more at the top and then we'll get to FICA. Of course, we know our revenue's way under right now, and I know you're trying to get that resolved, but under crew wages, and I'm gonna use round numbers, 418,000. And so now it's 540,000. Why is it 130,000 or 120 more than projected?
This was due to some overtime, inclement weather and people that had called in sick. This shouldn't be this is not the standard.
Okay, if somebody calls in, are you calling somebody into work on overtime, or are you using PRN people?
PRN,
We're using PRN.
and then ourselves when when people call in.
Now, you know, early on, and we've talked more than once about having one of you on a truck, because I know you fill in and we do appreciate that, but budget-wise, again, other counties our size don't have 2 managers that aren't scheduled, you know, like they'd have one and then the other to work in the truck, and that would take some of that.
We're working at least 2 to 3 days a week. We're
Right.
working anywhere on truck from 2 to 3 days a week.
Okay, that's
You
helpful.
know, we can't hear very well. I
And we
really
only
wish
have
the
3.
ambulance crew could have came here today. I drove 15 miles on bad roads to get here. those people live in town. I wish they would have came. That way we could hear each other talk. Just
Yes,
my
ma'am.
opinion.
I had some issues this morning with crews and things like that, that people, they couldn't come in. That's why I had gotten here, and I reached out to Dee, and she recommended Zoom. That's why we're doing it right now.
Me personally, Susie, I wasn't gonna come in. I've been sick all weekend. So I really wasn't gonna come in because I really don't feel much better, but I came in.
Judy, did you just say you were sick all weekend? You weren't gonna try to come in? I just can't hear you.
Yes, I said I was sick all weekend long. I wasn't even gonna come in this morning. I just came in for this, so, and to
Well,
work on the budget.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so, like I said, we work anywhere from 2 to 3 shifts a week on truck. We only have 3 full-time paramedics. Everybody else is PRN. On the medic side, so that's helping the budget there as much as possible. We actually sent people home due to bad weather last week, and Brian and I worked instead of having them work. So that should cut down on payroll as well. We're trying to cut as much as we possibly can.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
And now I'm down to the FICA, and it is about twice as much as what was originally projected. And the original budget was 16,000 and the projected one's 30,000.
Yeah, and that was my mistake. I don't
Okay.
know. All I know is originally when I started doing the budget, clear back in June and July, that was the number I was given. I can't tell you who gave me that number, but that's what I figured all of it on. And I found out the other day talking to Shannon, it was 7.65. So I adjusted all of that, and that's why those numbers look bigger now.
And then did the same thing happen with IPERS? Because it's about twice as much too.
IPERS, no, I still have it at 9.44, if that is correct.
Any questions, Lee or Susie?
Shannon, or Judy, or both of you. Do these new numbers reflect, and correct me if I misunderstood. You, Judy, were putting in 509.25. And then we talk later, Shannon, on the insurance that needed to go to 13,030. So do those numbers reflect that?
I believe they do, yes.
Okay.
On that new one that I sent to Shannon, yes.
Okay, because there was some confusion there. And basically
This is my first time doing county budget, guys, so
No,
bear with me, I'm trying.
I get that, but you know, we used to just budget the 6111. And the 13,030 was even that, as I explained to you, that one caught me off guard. I wasn't aware that we had moved in that direction. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that these new numbers that you sent are reflective of that as opposed to the 6111.
Yes.
And so that's it's not an abstract number, but it's an abstract number. It's something that the Board of Supervisors has asked the individual departments to absorb. Okay, so it reflects however many employees you have, an additional, round figures, an additional $7,000 an employee. That we never used to budget that way.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
How many employees are we talking?
Well, if you've got, would you say you had 3, counting you 2 is 5, and 8 EMTs would be 13 by my math, huh?
That's correct.
So I guess I thought they had around 18 height or 18.
We
based
got
on-
18
We
employees.
have
not all
26
full-time,
employees
so they don't have
altogether,
insurance.
Susie.
I'm sorry, Leon, I was talking. What'd you say?
We have 26 employees altogether. But out of those 26, there's only 13 of us that are full-time status. Everybody else is PRN. They do a shift a week, a shift and a half a week. They don't get benefits for insurance. They're not full-time.
Now, another question I have, Shannon, I asked you this before and I don't remember, and I know you answered, So I can have a full-time employee. If they're not taking the insurance, but they're getting the 50925, do we still tack the 13?
Yeah,
Okay,
we're putting the 1330 for
Okay.
every employee, regardless of what they take as an option.
Because
Okay.
it's the whole bill divided by the number of people that are on it.
Yes,
Mhm.
and employees change, so this person could not be taking it, but they could quit and a new person gets hired and they do want it, so it's just too much
no, I
to
get
change
that.
it all the time.
But the key is that it wasn't being reflected in the previous dollars that were being calculated. So when you've got, what we say, 13 employees with an additional $7,000, that's nearly $100,000 increase. Just in the bottom line, not necessarily it's an expense, but you understand what I'm saying? I don't know.
And nobody.
If you understand what I'm saying, explain it to me what I'm saying, okay?
Hey, Judy, I have another question. How many of your employees, of your 26 employees, are working somewhere else as well, in another county and getting full-time benefits from them as well?
Out of the 26,
It'd be 13.
well, hold on. Out of the 26, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8. I'd probably say 8 to 9 out of the full-time employees are working other jobs that have county benefits, like Henry County, Washington County. I got some that are working at the University of Iowa, some that are working up in Iowa County, up around Cedar Rapids. And these are our PRN staff members.
So they're getting insurance from 2 counties at once as well.
No.
These are just
Trust me.
our PRN staff. That is not full-time staff members, no. That's
All right,
just.
how many full-time staff members are working 2 jobs?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. I have 6 full-time employees that are working other jobs, and those are not ambulance jobs. Those are just jobs like Randy Bates works construction for Winslow. William works at Elite, stuff like that.
Okay, I just wondered, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, are we ready to, we still need to do this reappropriation, right?
If you tell me what the number was, because I didn't catch it.
I would say probably less. If we're going 3 weeks, it's 47,000 per pay period. Or, yeah, per pay period.
Judy, we didn't hear you. Could you speak up?
Oh, I'm just talking to myself, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Could wait until next week to do that if it would be better.
I would like
Because
to wait till next
If
week.
the 43 that they've got in there now can carry forward for this week, carry them
Okay.
through this week.
Did you hear that, Dee?
Yeah, let's wait till next week then, and then,
If the 43 is enough to get them
Yeah,
through this week.
Judy or Brian?
Yes, that would be fine.
Wait a minute now, don't
Hold on.
don't get ahead of me. Will the 43 cover
Yes.
Cover what?
for this next week? This week we're in, right? Till next Monday.
As long as you guys are gonna meet next Monday, because payroll.
Yes. Yes, because payroll isn't coming out this week, so yes, we would be fine.
All right.
okay,
So,
put it on
Susie,
next
you want to make a motion to table it? Or,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion to take this.
okay, I'll second Susie's motion.
all right, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
okay.
And like I said, I'm sorry, I was planning on being more
Yeah.
prepared, but I was sick all weekend, so.
Judy, I appreciate the fact you're even on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd really like you guys to show up next Monday so we can talk about this in person.
Yes, like I said, I wasn't even planning on coming in, but Brian called me and told me to at least come in for at least this portion of it, so
Give me host back.
I will definitely be there next Monday.
Can Brian give us the host back?
Yes, I'm trying to see what I did and give me a moment.
Okay, I think we're ready for discuss
came back
fiscal
with a-
year 2024 budget amendment. Okay, is there anything in the packet on this one?
Yeah, it says budget amendment timeline,
Number 5.
number 5. Oh,
Oh, that's Shannon sent us an email on that one.
okay. Discuss fiscal year budget amendment. Oh, that would be this. Okay. I see.
Shannon, this is the one that's by January 25th deadline to send notice of public hearing. Is that the one?
Yes, that's the timeline. So I have to send it by Thursday to get it to the place where you could have the hearing on February 12th.
So what do we need to do today on this? Just say,
Okay.
you need to send us.
Yeah, just prove it for me to publish it and set the date for the hearing.
Okay, does anybody want to look at the calendar and come up with a date for the hearing? What do you recommend, Shannon?
The 12th.
The 12th would be the soonest that you could have it.
That's right. Okay, let's do the 12th then. I'll make a motion that we have the,
What, can I, before we,
yeah, go ahead, Lee.
no, go ahead and make your motion and then we can have discussion.
Okay, we have the hearing on the amendment of the current county budget on February 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
So what is the length of time that this is for?
I think, Judy, you were planning on this amendment lasting you through the end of the year, right? Through June 30th?
Yes.
They're asking for $829,000 total to get them through the end of the fiscal year. There, we'll have to do another amendment at some point because Ray gets the $10,000 for Veterans Affairs. So there would be another opportunity if this ends up not being sufficient to do another amendment for them.
Well, we've got the hearing set. Can we talk to them more on Thursday? I know we're meeting on budgets on Thursday with them.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think you need to come prepared to really justify this because,
She didn't say a time, I didn't catch it otherwise. No, I mean, what time on Thursday are they meeting?
8:30.
That gives me half an hour only to. get
Shannon
the
has to get it to the
newspapers.
newspaper by 9 on Thursday.
And I have to put it in the state format.
Okay.
That
Okay.
only gives her half an hour.
Yeah.
You need to,
You know, if you publish it with the full 829,000
Oh, no.
in, you can still lower it at the.
okay,
Okay.
then let's do that. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Did you see the time?
If you're sure we can still lower it.
Yes, I'm positive.
Yes.
Yeah, because it has to be the maximum amount.
Yeah, you have to put the most that you would approve in, but you can always lower it. You just can't raise it.
Motion.
She made the motion. No.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we do that. Is there a second?
What time?
On February 12th, I suppose 9 o'clock. Does that work?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
All right.
Okay, is there any opposed? I didn't hear, okay. All right. Are we down to make committee reports?
Are we that far?
Mhm.
I don't think we've forgotten anything, but I'm checking. All right, I know we all spent a lot of time on budget last week. Um,
Really quickly, I apologize for jumping in. I just want to make sure for clarity with from a couple agenda items ago, with there being no vote, do you want us to instruct the cyber insurer to cancel the renewal? So Jefferson County's not going to elect any cyber coverage for this year. And again, I'm sorry for asking late. I want to make sure that I have good clarity on that.
this is the time to ask. Please, Susie.
Well, I didn't give a second. My vote would have been no.
I guess I thought we were gonna give it another week to look at this. But my vote would be no as well.
Okay.
So there's your
If I
answer.
vote today, it's no.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, any committee reports other than budgeting?
Oh. Don't think.
All right, how about allow claims and approve reports?
That's the. I don't know where that went to, right here, right? Is that what she wants? The claims?
Nobody had? We just kind of.
I didn't have any committee report.
I did have some.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
I had the emergency management last Thursday night. I was on by telephone. They were just basically going over budgets. And as far as I could hear, they did a very good job. Let me look here. Semco got there, they had canceled the meeting.
Go figure, right?
And I think you asked me last week or was it you? Where'd she go? If they'd given Bill Sloop a raise yet, I don't know yet, but I'll let you know as soon as I know. Other than that, here it says budget. So to
Okay.
speak, budget.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, that's all.
You just wrote them down every day in case you missed a day.
I had the first half hour of Sitka, and then we worked on budget. And there was an ambulance three-legged stool meeting, but it was just more informational.
Were the ambulance people there?
No, it was just the hospital and Tom Toohill and me.
So on Sitka, is there any funding there again?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, Dwayne has submitted some projects and gotten them covered.
Okay.
We'll be submitting more this year.
Good.
I just know back when Dick was still on there towards the
Right.
end, there
That
was,
changed somehow. Somebody at the legislature finally came through with funding.
okay.
Okay, can we move on to allow claims and approve reports?
Abby,
Mm-hmm,
you want to hand that to me?
sure thing.
Oh, they did.
No, you did. I was just gonna read it.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to allow claims and approve reports in the amount of $132,868.36. And as a sidebar, of that 132,868.36, $55,383.61 is insurance. I added it up.
I will second your motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
I
Okay,
just kept looking at all those
Alrighty.
line items and
are we having a budget work session today? I think they put it on there in case we wanted it. I know we have one.
oh, just for your information, on your budget work session for the 25th, I have meetings all morning on the 25th in Ottumwa.
That's right.
Yeah.
10:15.
Um,
I mean, that doesn't mean you guys can't And I know you've got one scheduled for the 29th.
Shannon, well, this
Which-
week's an odd week for everybody, because I know we gotta get, can we delay those until next Monday then, or is she still there? Can you ask her, Abby?
I know you have a budget meeting scheduled for Monday already.
Oh, okay, well, we can keep the one for the 25th and at least meet with, the ambulance folks. How about if I talk to Shannon and we'll figure it out? Otherwise, we'll do the 29th too. We got to see what other schedules are. So stay tuned. At least they're on our agenda.
Of course, if we have a budget meeting at 4 PM, then I wouldn't have to do ECI, so.
Yeah, but that's not on our schedule. Okay. Are we ready to adjourn for today and hold the time for Thursday? And then next Monday, and I'll check with Shannon on timeline to see how close we're at. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
On
sounds
that
good.
Monday, the 29th week, we got conference board at 8 AM, so it needs to be on the agenda.
On the 29th.
Yeah.
It's on the 31st, isn't it, Lee?
Yeah, but it's on Monday, it has to be on Monday's agenda.
Right, but the meeting's on the 31st.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm confused now.
31st.
Okay.
The 31st at 8 AM conference board.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, would it be okay if we have a department head meeting on the 31st at 1? For everybody's schedule?
So far.
Does that work for you, Susie?
Oh, yeah.
So could you please put that on, Abby?
Will do.
What
All
time
right.
did you say, Dee?
1 o'clock on the 31st.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I think the engineering department will be up at a DOT seminar. The 31st and the 2nd. If I remember correctly.
Anybody suggest another time? Or you want to just go ahead?
We could do it this Wednesday.
I can't do it Wednesday, but you guys can.
Nah,
Now let's just wait and see.
yeah.
Okay. Stay tuned. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.
Did you have trouble getting around town with the road?